everybody. I'm Brittany Lewis, a breaking news reporter here at Forbes. Joining me now is my colleague, Forbes Money and Politics reporter, Kyle Kahn-Mullins. Kyle, thanks so much for joining me.
Always great to be here, Brittany. Thanks for having me.
Of course, the Money and Politics team took the humongous undertaking of finding out the net worth of President Trump's cabinet. So I first want to step back here and look at the cabinet overall. What types of careers did these administration officials leave? What industries did they leave to serve this administration?
You really run the gamut here. There's everyone from Wall Street folks like Scott Bessent and Howard Lutnick. You've got Fox News personalities like Pete Hegseth and Sean Duffy. You've got sitting politicians like Marco Rubio, Doug Burgum, Kristi Noem. You got two sitting governors, Doug Burgum and Kristi Noem, who left their seats to join the administration. Marco Rubio, a senator from a relatively safe seat in Florida. And then you've got lots of current and former business people. Look at Linda McMahon, former head of the WWE. Look at Lori Chavez DeRemer, the labor secretary, Chris Wright, the energy secretary. These folks are, like I said, current or former business people. It really runs the gamut of possible careers that are folks ending up in the cabinet.
So business people, media personalities, I'm thinking dollar signs when I think of that. They're leaving big paychecks to come to this administration. So collectively, when you add it all together, how much is this cabinet worth?
We estimate that the cabinet's net worth collectively, and I want to stress this is without Donald Trump, is $7.5 billion. Now, most of that is two billionaires, Howard Lutnick and Linda McMahon. They're both worth about $3.3 billion each. But the rest of them aren't bringing exactly small amounts of money to the table either. And we don't estimate there is a single member of Trump's cabinet worth less than $1 million.
Wow, I mean, that is just a elite group to be in. I mean, they are making a lot of money. The poorest person in this cabinet, Forbes is estimating, is still worth $1 million. I mean, that's not bad. But how does this compare to President Trump's first term?
Well, they are worth far more than Trump's first cabinet crew. We estimated in 2019. Remember, Trump's cabinet changed a couple times, his first term cabinet was worth about $3.2 billion in 2019. So that is, we're now looking at a number that's over double that. And I think it's also worth remembering it's different in another way as well. In Trump's first term, he was still trying to sort of solidify control over the Republican Party. So you saw a lot of establishment Republicans in the administration. You saw a lot of generals. And he was adding those folks because he was trying to build credibility with the Republican Party as an institution. These days, I think it's safe to say Trump has total control over the party. And so his cabinet is, I think it's safe to say, much more loyal to him and to that ideological project that MAGA represents. So a great example in contrast there is for the defense secretary. You might remember Jim Mattis was his first nominee for defense secretary, a long-time, well-respected general. These days, his nominee for defense secretary was Pete Hegseth, a MAGA warrior who made his name on Fox News.
And I know that the comparison is really even more staggering when you look at Biden's cabinet. How much was President Biden's cabinet worth compared to President Trump's second term?
Yeah, and compared to Donald Trump's second term, President Biden's cabinet, from a net worth perspective, doesn't even come close. We estimated that President Biden's cabinet was worth about $110 million. Again, that's excluding the president, but he only would have added about $10 million to that number. So I think that difference reflects there aren't a lot of highly successful business people and billionaires in Biden's cabinet. There were no billionaires, in fact, in Biden's cabinet. He preferred to pick longtime government officials and experts to fill those roles instead of people from outside politics and outside government.
So there are a few people serving in President Trump's cabinet this term that are worth more themselves than all of President Biden's cabinet combined. And I want to talk about that highest tier, if you will, the top echelon, the Billionaires Club. Who's in it?
So you've got two people there, Howard Lutnick and Linda McMahon. Howard Lutnick, he took over and ran Cantor Fitzgerald. It's an investment firm on Wall Street. And it was most famous, unfortunately, for in 2001, losing over 600 employees in the 9/11 attacks on New York. Its offices were in the World Trade Center and were hit really badly, of course, by that attack. Howard Lutnick built that company back up from the ground up and made a massive fortune for himself while doing so. He's also very known. He's known on Wall Street as being very hard charging, very gruff, very tough to work with sometimes. And now he is Trump's chief trade negotiator. Second person is Linda McMahon. She's the former president and CEO of WWE, the worldwide wrestling entertainment franchise. This worldwide entertainment titan in the wrestling industry. She co-led that company with her husband for decades, starting in 1982. They made billions of dollars doing that, and then she later left the business in 2009. She wanted to focus more on politics. She served in some state-level roles in Connecticut, and then she ran for Senate twice. Didn't work out for her. She was a Republican running in deep blue Connecticut. But she also served in the first Trump administration as the head of the Small Business Administration. She's also a major Republican donor. That is how she ended up in the second Trump cabinet.
So now let's move on down. Let's look at that next tier. Those people serving in President Trump's administration who are worth $100 million or more, but not quite billionaires. Who are they and what did they do?
Yeah, all these folks are worth about a Biden cabinet or multiple Biden cabinets. You have Scott Bessent worth an estimated $600 million. He made his fortune in hedge funds and specifically seems to have had the most success when he was managing billions and billions of dollars at George Soros' family office. He's also a big real estate investor and bought and sold lots and lots of property over the years. For second, you've got Doug Burgum, who we actually have a looser estimate on him. It's just 100 million plus. It's a little tough to put a pin in his because we think that he's given a lot of his money to his children and trust that he doesn't have to report. But he's still worth over $100 million. Where did he make that money? He led Great Plains Software. That was a business software company, and Microsoft bought it in 2001. That got Burgum over $100 million in stock right then and there. And then finally, we have Chris Wright. My colleague Lily Ogburn was the Money and Politics intern. She just finished up her time here at Forbes. She led the reporting on Chris Wright. She talked to him for that piece. There's a separate piece on the website. Everyone should go read, profiling Chris Wright in more detail. He made his fortune in oil and gas, and the biggest piece of that was Liberty Energy, a fracking firm that he started in 2011.
And I actually spoke with then Governor Doug Burgum when he was running for president, and he told me that he is a self-made story. He's rags to riches. I'm curious, when you're looking at this administration, are these people, did they make their money through generational wealth, or are they more like Doug Burgum, where they're rags to riches, they're self-made, and they made all their fortune that way?
I think you could safely say that most folks in Trump's cabinet built their fortunes, or at least the majority of their fortunes themselves, either in business or politics. The best example I would say of generational wealth on the list is probably Robert F. Kennedy Jr. He was, of course, the son of Robert F. Kennedy, the former U.S. Attorney General and presidential candidate. And RFK Jr. is the heir to a small chunk of the Kennedy fortune. Compared to the rest of the list, though, he's kind of bottom of the pack, lower middle of the pack at $15 million. And it should be noted, some of that $15 million is from his Hollywood wife, Cheryl Hines. So, generational wealth can get you somewhere, but believe me, it can only take you so far, as we could see with Robert F. Kennedy Jr.
And you noted at the top that the person who is worth the least on this list is still worth $1 million. And there's only one career politician on this list, that's Secretary of State Marco Rubio. I'm curious, if you're a career politician, how are you making at least $1 million? First of all, how much is he worth? Second, how did he make that money?
Marco Rubio is the second least wealthy person on the list there. He's worth about $1.5 million is what we're estimating. And the vast majority of that, he got lucky on a real estate gig. The Florida real estate market has been booming. They bought a house in 2021, and it's now worth over $2 million. He's got over $1 million in home equity there in Miami. So that helps out a lot. But he is, like you said, a career politician. He ran for office pretty soon after graduating law school, worked his way up the Florida political establishment, eventually became the first Hispanic Speaker of the House of the state of Florida. And then he became a Florida senator. Now he's the Secretary of State. So he has worked his way right up the political establishment, has been a politician vast majority of his working life, and has made his money, like many Americans, in home equity.
And despite there being a few billionaires on this list, despite there being multiple people worth more than $100 million, there is one person who has the top spot, and that is the president. How much is President Trump worth according to Forbes?
Our latest estimate for President Trump is that he's worth $5.5 billion.
And so if you look at how Forbes has estimated the president's net worth since 2016, since he won his first term, President Trump has never been richer than he was even when he won the presidency back then almost a decade ago. So remind us how exactly he's profited from politics.
Yeah, we think it's safe to say that Donald Trump is the first person to make over $1 billion from politics alone. And when people talk about Donald Trump's wealth and how he may have made money off of politics, they focus on things like the DC hotel he owned during his first term, when foreign diplomats would stay at the hotel, for example, or Mar-a-Lago, and how they're able to charge much more for memberships now because the president lives there and is that's a way of potentially getting his ear. Those things all matter, don't get me wrong. But if you want to talk about how President Trump has made money from politics, you're focused on two things. Number one, True Social, and number two, cryptocurrency. So True Social, that's his social media company. His 40% stake in it is worth, I think, $2 billion last time I looked. That's a publicly traded stock, so it moves around every day. And then the second thing is he has made just gobs of money from cryptocurrency. We are sort of take a pretty conservative approach on this, but we still think he's made hundreds and hundreds of millions of dollars from his crypto earnings. That's his meme coins. That's his other crypto ventures. He gets a little bit of a slice of every transaction that takes place with some of those coins and other digital assets. So between True Social and cryptocurrency, that is where he has really made his money in politics.
Well, Kyle, I know just how big of an undertaking this is. So thank you so much for your reporting. Until next time.
Thank you so much, Brittany. Thanks for having me.